Thank you so much, Brian, for the introduction, and Laurie for the sweet invitation. Legacy, as I said, we all leave one, either by design or by accident. What is legacy? I always open this presentation with that question, but today I can't do that. I need to say thank you to the regular Ziglar Monday morning devotional friends who have shared with me the last year and a half their legacy and their stories with Zig Ziglar. You know, I always saw on Monday afternoons what the topic, what the subject was, who spoke at the Ziglar Monday morning devotional, and I thought, I sure wished I lived close to Dallas so I could attend. Well, it would take a pandemic for us all to attend and come together on this Monday morning. For those who are not regulars on the Ziglar Monday morning devotional, Mr. Ziglar started this legacy over 40 years ago in 1978 because he believed that the most important meeting of the week would be how you start your Monday morning with a devotional. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the Ziglar family, I want to share the Ziglar definition of legacy. Legacy is when we teach and transfer those good habits that build character, faith, wisdom, and integrity that ripple through all eternity. Now, I hope you noticed I love those last four words, that ripple through all eternity. So two men left a legacy that have influenced and impacted my life, Zig Ziglar and Danny Thomas. Back in 2017, when I became a part of the Ziglar family, I read Mr. Ziglar's autobiography, Zig. I couldn't help but think as I was reading Mr. Ziglar's biography that I was reading Danny Thomas's biography. So I called Julie, Ziglar's daughter, and I said, you would not believe all the wonderful comparisons. She was just as surprised as I was. So I always like to take this opportunity to say thank you, Julie, for helping me 5 years ago put this presentation together and come up with these 7 comparisons that I'm going to share with you today. So let's get started. The early years, both men were born on the 6th of the month. Mr. Ziglar, November 6th, and Danny Thomas, January 6th. Both men came from very, very poor families. As we all know, Mr. Ziglar was number 10 of 12 children, and Danny Thomas was number 5 of 12 children. Mr. Ziglar lost a baby sister at a very young age. Danny Thomas lost 2 siblings at birth. School years and after. Most of us know that Mr. Ziglar changed his name from Hillary Hinton to Zig. He loved the nickname Zig. Danny Thomas's real name was Amos Jacobs. He changed his name because all his life he wanted to be an entertainer. He enjoyed making people laugh and telling jokes, but his family discouraged him. So not wanting to disappoint his mom and dad, he never wanted them to see his name on a marquee. So he took the stage name Danny for his younger brother and Thomas for his older brother. Later, when he became famous, he would legally change his name to Danny Thomas. Neither men finished school. Mr. Ziglar finished high school, but he did not finish college. Danny Thomas had a joke in his monologue that he went to the 9th grade only 9 days. I find this very difficult to believe, but both men struggled with self-image. Both men enjoyed storytelling. They loved people. Both men also struggled to find their way in life and had many, many jobs searching for their purpose. Now, I want to take a minute and do a sidebar and tell you a little bit briefly about Danny Thomas. As I said, he was a struggling entertainer, comedian, and actor. He always said the proudest day of his life was the day he opened the doors to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. This is a picture on that day, and I think you can tell by the look on his face how proud he was. But it wasn't always easy. You see, in the early 50s, he was struggling. He was a Catholic man. He found himself in church one Sunday, and he went to St. Jude Thaddeus, patron saint of hopeless causes, and he prayed this: "Help me find my way in life, and I will build you a shrine." Now, he didn't pray, "Make me rich and famous." He truly wanted to know what was his purpose. Why was he here? It was less than a week that he would receive the next big job, which back then it was in radio. There was no television. So interestingly enough, from 1952 to 1957, 5 years, it would take him to establish ALSAC. ALSAC stands for American Lebanese Syrian Associated Charities. ALSAC is the fundraising, marketing, and awareness organization that would support the hospital. It would take then another 5 years for Danny Thomas to actually open the doors to the hospital. I do a lot of work with young people, and I think sometimes they think things happen overnight, but there, in the course of that 10-year period, it took him to see his dream become a reality. Now, over those 10 years, he would be traveling the country. He was a proud Lebanese man who wanted to rally the Lebanese people throughout the country to work with him to see his dream come true. In 1955, he would find himself in Jackson, Mississippi. My mom and dad are both from Jackson, Mississippi. And this is Danny Thomas here in the center with the dark jacket. He was at the Lebanese Club in Jackson, Mississippi, talking about his dream, rallying the Lebanese people to support his dream. This man here in the light colored jacket is my grandfather. This is my father's father. This man came to this country as a little boy. He could not read, write, or speak the English language. My mother's father also came from Beirut, Lebanon, and he too could not read, write, or speak the English language. The rest of the people in this picture are my aunts and uncle. This is my Aunt Marie, my godmother, who I'm named after. My father is not in this picture because he was spending 2 years in Germany serving in the Special Forces. My grandmother is also not in this picture. She was in the kitchen cooking. Most Lebanese women, not this one, but most Lebanese women are very good cooks. So this is my grandmother. And if you will notice, she will not even let Danny Thomas himself take a bite before the food is served. Look at the expression on his face. I love it. So fast forward to 1962, the day Danny Thomas gave his gift to the hospital and cut the ribbon and opened the doors. When Tom Ziglar and Michelle Prince were teaching on legacy when I came through ZLC, they said this. They said to find your why in life, your purpose, why God placed you here. And I didn't realize it at the time, but every time I give a tour at St. Jude, I say this. When Danny Thomas cut the ribbon and opened the doors of the hospital, this is what he said. He said, if I die tomorrow, I will know why God placed me here on earth. Tom Ziglar always said, if you know your why, you will be able to find out how to establish and discover your dreams. So back to our comparison, faith and beliefs. Both men were strong Christian men in their community. They shared their faith. In Mr. Ziglar's autobiography, he said his mother taught him that we have a colorblind God. God does not see color. Danny Thomas came to Memphis in the 50s during the time of segregation. He made it very clear to every business, hotel, restaurant industry that if you wanted to do business with St. Jude, you would have to open your doors to everyone, regardless of race, creed, or color. Family and children. Both men married the one and only love of their life. As we all know and love, Jean Ziglar, as Mr. Ziglar referred to as the redhead, and often called her sugar baby. Danny Thomas married his true love, Rosemarie, and often referred to her as his beloved and called her honey because he thought she was so sweet. Now, the next comparison is one of my favorites. Danny Thomas always had a joke in his monologue that he did not have the $50 that he needed to get his wife and first baby out of the hospital. In Mr. Ziglar's autobiography, he said he had to go sell 3 sets of cookware to get his wife and first baby out of the hospital because he didn't have the $64. Both men loved children. Mr. Ziglar had 4 children and Danny Thomas had 3 children. Both men had a dream. Mr. Ziglar dreamed all his life of becoming a speaker and a trainer, and in 1977 opened the doors to Ziglar Corporation. As I said earlier, Danny Thomas had a dream. He founded ALSAC in 1957, and 5 years later, in 1962, the doors of the hospital would be open. Both men had a great sense of humor and were motivating and inspiring to others. Now, everyone here on the Ziglar Monday Morning Devotional, typically this is where devotionals were held prior to the pandemic, but I'm so glad it took a pandemic for us to open up the doors and share worldwide. But this is Ziglar headquarters. For those of you who've never been to Ziglar headquarters, my favorite wall at Ziglar headquarters is the wall of gratitude. Mr. Ziglar believed that gratitude was the healthiest of all human emotions. Mr. Ziglar wanted to be grateful for all the blessings that he had received in his life. On this wall are those people who blessed him, motivated him, and encouraged him throughout his life. His wife, Jean, his daughter, Suzanne, Mary Kay Ash, the founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics, Norman Vincent Peale, and Cabot Robert, just to name a few. The mission at Ziglar Corporation is to be the difference maker in the personal, family, and business lives of enough people to make a positive difference in the world, not only America, but in the world. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is in Memphis, Tennessee, downtown. It sits on 63 acres. The main building is the patient care facility, which is right here. The red awning is where Danny Thomas's gift sits. It's the focal point of the hospital. It's a 10-foot tall marble statue. If you'll notice at the bottom, it says 1960. You know, our plans never go as we plan them. The statue stayed in storage for 2 more years till the hospital opened in 1962. At the 50th anniversary, Danny Thomas's children dedicated this bronze statue of their father and the children at the hospital. The mission at St. Jude is no child should die in the dawn of life. No child should die in the dawn of life. This is where my personal story will begin. I always wanted a sister, but I didn't have a sister. Had 3 brothers, but no sister. When I was 12 years old, my 2-year-old cousin Tammy came from Jackson, Mississippi to Memphis to visit. Her and her parents came every month, every other month. At the time, I did not know she was a patient at the hospital. Back then, there were no housing facilities for the patients to stay in. Like I said earlier, they stayed in hotels. Her father and my father were first cousins and grew up together. My father refused to let her family stay in a hotel, so they stayed in our home. Her parents stayed in my room, which doubled as the guest room. Tammy and I would stay on a pull-out couch in the den. Over the course of the next 2 years, I would watch as the life was sucked out of this beautiful child. She would lose weight. She would lose her hair. I would come home from school one day, and my parents would tell me that Tammy had gone to heaven to be with God. She was 4 years old, and I was 14. This was a pivotal moment in my life that forever changed me. This is Tammy. I finished high school and I finished college in 1984. 10 years after Tammy's passing in 1985, I would become a volunteer at the hospital. How can I make a difference in the lives of others? How can we all make a difference in the lives of others? For me, it was a special little angel named Tammy. On this particular day, Sunday, September 29th, 1985, this is a picture of my father, my mother, me, and Uncle Danny. We referred to Danny Thomas as Uncle Danny. On this day, he opened the Danny Thomas Alsac Pavilion. It's a self-guided museum on campus dedicated to 3 things. Number 1, the children at the hospital. Number 2, Danny Thomas's Lebanese heritage and the Lebanese community that rallied around him to help him see his dream come true. And number 3, it's dedicated to his entertaining career. Fast forward 2012, Cindy, this one's in here for you. 2012, my sweet dog Bailey would become a registered therapy dog, and we would do therapy work on Tuesday morning for outpatients and Thursday morning for inpatients. The pandemic, 16 months, we weren't allowed to go to the hospital, but last Tuesday, we just started going back to the hospital. Back to our comparisons, community and honors. According to Julie, the Silver Buffalo Award from the Boy Scouts of America was one of Ziglar's favorite awards that he ever received. Danny Thomas was a Boy Scout and was proud to speak to the National Boy Scout Jamboree in 1971. 20 years ago, in 2001, Mr. Ziglar received the Cabot Award, the highest award given from the National Speakers Association. In 1985, Danny Thomas received the Gold Congressional Medal given to him by then President Ronald Reagan. Both their legacies live on, with Zig Ziglar, with his 3 children, Cindy, Julie, and his only son, Tom. With Danny Thomas, his 3 children, Marlo, Terry, and his only son, Tony. Our founder, the father of motivation, Mr. Zig Ziglar. One of my favorite quotes is, "You were designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness." Danny Thomas, founder of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, one of my favorite quotes, "Success in life has nothing to do with what you gain in life or accomplish for yourself. It is what you do for others." So we come full circle. What is our legacy? We all leave one, either by design or by accident. We are each given a gift, and that gift is called our life. What will we do with it? I will close with with Leo Buscaglia's famous quote, "What you are is your gift from God. What you make of yourself is your gift back to God." I would like to say thank you and God bless you. Before I turn it over back to Brian, I would like to share my email address if you would like to connect. And I'd also like to share with you my Facebook page, Winning Ways. Brian, Lori, thank you.